Hello and welcome to a festive edition of FtLoC. My name is Drew Stern and I'm joined by my FtLoC friend, Mr. Henry Catchpole.
Hey!
Merry Christmas, Henry.
Merry Christmas, Drew.
Woo! Or whatever holiday you celebrate. Everyone's welcome here today. If you've put away the presents, the candles, the family, and decided...
Sure, they've bound to have unwrapped this first, surely.
I guess first present of the day. You've holed yourself away in a nice little quiet corner and want to enjoy some automotive entertainment. Hopefully we can supply you with a welcome distraction on this loveliest of Christmas days. We are going to run through a list of awards. Might be a generous way.
Unofficial awards.
Unofficial awards.
Official, unofficial awards.
Are markers for the best cars and the best films we've made this year, and share with you some of the highlights of 2018, which has been an absolutely action-packed film. It's the first full calendar year you've spent with us on the Carfection team, and we've been to many places, driven many things, and let's jump straight into it. What is the first category, Mr. Catchpole?
I was going to go with, let's start with favourite shoot of the year.
It's a pretty big one straight away, right out of the box, and there have been some spectacular ones.
I have.
I think your favourite shoot and my favourite shoot were slightly closer to home.
Yeah, my favourite shoot was the Rolls-Royce Dawn. Just because it's something I'd wanted to do for ages, to be honest, and then came into Carfection, and lo and behold, we've managed to do it. And George, who's behind the cameras, he shot it, and it was amazing. Being out, we had 2 nights out looking up at the stars, getting all the star trails, it's a difficult thing to do, and it takes a lot of time. There's no shortcut to doing those shots at the end of the film, and yeah, it was just lovely to be out there. It is an amazing. I always think on these shoots, sometimes I love driving the cars. That's why we do it. But you find yourself in some amazing locations with these ridiculous ideas that we come up with for shoots. And when else would you sort of find yourself out looking at the stars from a Rolls-Royce? That's sort of just looking at stars in general. It's just you don't tend to go and do those things. One of the best
places in the UK to do that.
Exactly,
as well.
yeah. So that was really special. So yeah, and the shots were amazing. So that was my favourite shoot of the year, I think, despite the fact it was ridiculously long days and and very cold.
That's the thing, that it's the cold and the...
But you still remember it. So.
It's the hard work actually makes it pay off. My favourite shoot of the year, I think, I have to say, is also a UK-based shoot, and it's when we went up to Scotland to shoot the Bentley and the BAC.
Is that because you spent it in the Bentley, not the BAC?
But
in the rain.
But I'd have to say my favourite part of that shoot,
you did have it. Yeah.
Is at the end of the shoot when we were done, you took the Bentley off to do some final shots for the standalone film on the Bentley, which you did drive all the way up there, so you got to spend some time in it. But I drove the mono back from the North Coast 500 where we were all the way back to our hotel in Ullapool, wasn't it?
You drove from Ullapool all the way back down to Inverness, didn't you?
So, yeah. And it was quite a long drive, like a 2-hour drive in the dark. And I also realised that I'd had my tinted visor on my helmet, so I had to drive it with the visor up so I could actually see where I was going in the rain. So like squinting against the stinging rain. But it was spectacular. The sun was going down. The mountains were being silhouetted. I was just following the tail lights of the disco up ahead. I'd been warned about deer. It was just one of the most exciting drives. And it was after a fairly exhausting shoot for a couple of days driving those cars. Spectacular. So of all the travels of all the countries that we racked up this year, 2 of our best shoots, both in the UK. There you go.
Next category.
Yeah.
Best haircut. Which one's it going to be?
Well, I think
it's this FtLoC or that FtLoC.
That FtLoC, about 2 or 3 FtLoCs ago.
That we picture up now.
I'm not entirely sure what I was doing there. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Or I still haven't had a haircut since that was done.
My hair doesn't. I don't have a haircut per se. It just gets longer and then shorter. I think Chiron was probably the longest I've had my hair this year.
Was it?
Yeah, probably. But anyway,
I'm sure Chiron will come up. Yeah. So that me in FtLoC a couple of episodes probably gets.
Yeah, you win best haircut. There you go. Next up, best hot hatch of the year.
Again, we're living in kind of a golden age of hot hatches. There's a lot of competition out there from a lot of very good stuff. Yeah. And our current long-termer is one of the hottest of the hot hatches.
Is it going to be your favourite then?
The Civic Type R. I love that car, but I think the one that I can see that's down on your list might be a more valid winner.
Well, it's the Fiesta ST, the latest one. I drove that on the launch this year. I want to have another go in it actually. But what a cracking little car. It's sort of taken The old one was the previous gen I absolutely loved and was great because you have fun at any speed. This one has taken a big leap on. It's made it more serious. It's got the diff at the front. It's got the grippier tyres, but it is still really, really good fun. So it's amazing how much performance and fun you can get in a small and relatively affordable package. So yeah.
And you argue whether or not it should actually have an RS badge on it in the
yes,
in
exactly.
the film.
Yeah, and we did drive. I mean, things. Honourable mention for Up GTI, which I enjoyed as well, and then Megane, I suppose, is the sort of, it was bracketed by those two, but I think it was the sweet spot right in the middle. So yes, hot hatch of the year, Fiesta ST for me.
Right, and I think we go now back into the category of novelty awards.
Oh yes, creepiest line of the year. What's that going to be, Drew?
Hello, wanna come for a ride in my Volvo?
Just still sends shivers down my spine. I hope you haven't had lunch yet, because it'd be turning, wouldn't it?
In our film where we talk about why Volvos are so safe, or rather, where did Volvo get its reputation for being such
one
a
of
safe
our
brand?
most watched films of the year.
One, like in the top 5 of most watched films this year. Clearly, you were interested to find out.
You're a safe bunch.
Yeah, it has the line, "Would you like to come for a drive in my Volvo?"
Or maybe they're not a safe bunch. Maybe what is this safety thing you talk about?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's creepy about that line isn't the line in itself, which already is quite creepy. What's creepy about it is the amount of takes we had to do to get that right.
And pulling up to me standing at the side of the road.
Pulling up 10 and going, "Do you want to go for a drive in my Volvo?" And I think we used one of the creepier takes where I have this Michael Fassbender level grin going on. Very creepy. Very, very... you should never go for a drive and someone who pulls up next to you and says, "Would you like to come for a drive in my Volvo?"
Don't do what I did.
At least you know you're going to be safe in a crash, but beyond that, I wouldn't guarantee your safety.
Next up, concept of the year.
Yes, I think hands down it has to be the Peugeot. Now I've immediately forgotten the exact name. The E-Legend concept.
I think it looked like a 504.
It does look like a 504, but a 504 that somehow came back in time to destroy John Connor. It looks amazing. As really concept cars can look incredibly futuristic and sometimes bizarre with it. This looked like a real car in the real world, but designed to evoke a sense of nostalgia for a time gone by while still being a modern car with a modern drivetrain. And the Peugeot just do good concepts at the Paris Motor Show. The Onyx years ago was our first ever video back in the X-Car days that did over 1,000 views. Oh. If you remember that.
Was the thing
one.
That was like copper, wasn't it?
Yes,
so
it was meant to age with time. Very
nice.
cool. So Peugeot, great done. Great job. And the E-Legend, top notch.
Makes me think of I Am Legend every time.
Yes.
Yeah,
but more of a northern E-Legend.
E-Legend.
My best Yorkshire.
Next up, slightly niche, but best brakes of the year.
Yeah, I feel that this has been put
Have
in
I
there 'cause
crowbarred it in?
You specifically want to give an award in this category to a specific car.
Yeah, it's the McLaren Senna because they were extraordinary. The rest of the car, I was like, it's very quick and downforce. It was kind of it was good. It was good. But the brakes, wow! I've never felt anything like that on a road car before. So just the sheer sort of pressure you had to exert on them, but then the feel you got, and it elevated the whole of that car. Actually, I think to being what you expect it to be in terms of a really outright track.
It's interesting that it's the brakes, because I think you want the brakes to be good, but the fact that you in your description they're defining the experience of the car, that's quite
and I don't think I was the only one. I think a lot of people talked about you came into the first corner and you sort of go out of the pit lane and you reach it and you suddenly realize you have to push about 3 times as hard as you do in a 720S or something like that to get them to work. But once you do, it beefs up the whole experience. And so
there you go, McLaren, well done.
Best brakes of the year. Where are we going next?
Best engine.
Best engine. Well, that seems sort of... So this is going to be an engine that I haven't actually driven yet. I mean, if you ask me to pick a car that I have driven, then would be GT2 RS. No, it has to be 812.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just...
And it sounds phenomenal.
Those gear shifts, 3 downshifts in a second. Wow, that was so cool. But, so imagine that revs to 9,000 RPM. The one I'm going to pick, which you probably know if you've seen the video by now, revs to 11,400 RPM at its hard limiter, which is the Valkyrie's new engine that I saw on the dyno at Cosworth. It's extraordinary. And just the fact that I heard it and, the involuntary hairs on the back of your neck go up. At that point, you're thinking, that's really special. 200 kilos, but just revving like that's extraordinary. So
well, considering you drove a Chiron this year, so that's impressive stuff. That this is going to probably be the car that delivers the best engine experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just sort of for you.
I don't drive as many cars as you, so I get stuck in SUVs most of the time, and they've all been really good.
All right, moving swiftly on. Best animal in a film. Here you go. You can answer that one instead.
Well, I'm quite partial to the puppies in the Project 8.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they looked really fluffy, and if you see it very quickly for the first time, as I did, it looked like a two-headed dog.
Yes, it really does. It looks like sort of Cerberus, doesn't it?
Yeah. Had 3 heads.
I know.
Cerberus,
yeah, exactly right. But I like the fact that George did pan away from to show that it wasn't just a library shot we used. We genuinely did.
I thought when I first saw it,
I was like, why is he
got a
library shot? But no, there's the car.
Did you write the line after?
Somebody asked this in the comments. Yeah, I did write the line afterwards because I saw George taking the video of the film footage of the. I thought I'm going to have to include it somewhere now. Same with the lizard that's in there. So I admit I wrote the lines after the event.
There is a long-standing tradition with Carfection and before it on XCar of having animals in our films. And if you've been watching our films long enough, you'll have noticed this tradition happening. The most bizarre of which was when Matt Murray, our freelancer, filmed a beetle emerging from sand, digging itself out while he was out filming the Rally de Gazelles with our friend Emmy Hall. And it's great because it was just coming before a sequence where the car got bogged down and they had to dig the car out. But Matt actually buried that beetle to get the shot.
I'd love to say no animals were harmed in the making of these shots, but this is clearly sort of...
I don't think invertebrates are covered in animal abuse rulings. Plus, it was fine. The beetle just dug itself out and carried on.
Well, this is
beetles in the desert get covered in sand all
the
time.
Yes, absolutely. It goes along with the job.
But it looked great. The shot looked brilliant. It wasn't until afterwards he told me what he'd done. I'm not sure I would have approved that.
It was a method-acted beetle.
Method-acted beetle.
Yeah, there we go. Excellent. From best animal to best person. It's kind of...
Is it me?
This is awkward. It's not. Sorry.
Okay.
It's not me either.
It's to be someone good then.
It is. It's Andy Wallace.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
He's great.
He is fantastic.
He's really good, isn't he? And he was so good on that Chiron film that we did in the walk around there. And
I should give him a job. He was that good.
Yeah,
he was fantastic. Yeah, the walk around that you did with it. No one knows more about that car. Well, no one knows more about the cars that he's driven. Full stop almost than he does, and driving in general.
His storytelling is just fantastic. I mean, stuff that was not on camera or anything like that, but he's just a great guy to hang with. And he had to sit next to me driving that Chiron all day long because that's just what...
Well, from what I gather, he has to sit next to a lot of people driving Chirons who have far less experience and knowledge than you about driving, and arguably maybe who he's got far less respect for in that world. So and you can imagine he would treat everyone with the same level of respect because he's an absolute gent.
So there we are. Yeah,
it is one of the bigger surprises for us this year is how well the walk around just of that Chiron was received. So thank you very much for watching it. Yeah. And if you haven't, as with all of these films that we're talking about, the links are below.
Excellent. Next up, Motorsport Moment of the Year.
It's a tough one. Well, it's been a great year in motorsport, but I think you've got you're more passionate about your rally one than I am about. I think Formula One has had a large selection, but I think if it comes down to a single one, we talked about it in the previous episode.
We did, yeah. It was Sebastian Loeb winning in Rally Spain because it was because it was just such a to come back after all those years, beating all those other guys who were absolutely at the top of their game, battling for a championship. In a car that he hadn't been competing in really before. He'd obviously done a couple of one-off rallies, but to show that he was 44 years of age and long time out of the sport, really, that was extraordinary. I also wanted to give a shout out actually to Johan Kristoffersson, who I had a ride with in his World Rallycross car. It wasn't really his full-on World Rallycross car, but it was a World Rallycross car at Silverstone in the year when he was really unfriendly, and I gather that's not like him. I mean, he wasn't unfriendly, he didn't hit me or anything, but it was kind of he just didn't want to be there and didn't want to talk at all. So there we go. But I mean, he's made Hamilton look sort of like he's had a pretty shaky season in the way he has just dominated World Rallycross, winning qualifying session after qualifying session in pretty much every single round that he's entered, even from positions where you thought, oh well, he's not going to win one because he's at the back or what, messed up the Joker lap or something, you think, and then he just comes through and extraordinary. So but Motorsport Moment, that Rally Spain was just phenomenal. You didn't know who was going to win it, and then up at the end pops up Lowe with an inspired tyre choice and some incredible driving. So
yeah, I don't think Formula One had anything quite at that level. I really enjoyed the synchronized donuts they did at the end of Abu Dhabi with Alonso and Vettel and Hamilton on the pit straight, because it was Seb being like a good sport about not winning. It was Alonso going, I am done. I am done. And it was because Max, who had a podium, just kind of trundling up the back and just like, I'll just leave you guys to it. So between you've got 10 world championships. So I'll join in a couple of years.
Yeah, quite. Next up, best double watch moment.
There've been many. I get asked this a lot, but why I do it. But I do wear two watches. And what not many of you notice is that I will frequently coordinate the straps on both of the watches to be relevant. So, best double watch moment for the year is the intro shot to our Donkervoort film, which was also a very entertaining couple of days to spend out in the Netherlands filming with a very interesting company, and I do encourage you to watch the film. But it starts with me sitting, ultra chill, resting up against the wheel of a Donkervoort S7, wearing two of my favourite watches, both bearing orange straps, because it was the Netherlands and orange is the national colour of the Netherlands.
Good work.
So, yes. Thought went into that.
Next up, Porsche 911 of the year, because we've done a lot of 911s, haven't we, this year?
We have, and there are many.
There are,
and they span almost the entire breadth of the kind of cars that we cover, from entry level sports cars to the most crazy motorsport legends you can imagine. So, what's on the list for this year? The potential nominees.
Well, I mean, it was obviously the new 992. We haven't driven, but we've seen it. Could be in there. We've got the standard Carrera, which I did drive. The T, the GT3 manual, which there was the GT3 RS. GT2 RS. What do you think is going to win?
Is it the standard Carrera?
It's none of the above. No, it's not going to be any of them. It's going to be, I've changed my mind at the last minute.
Okay.
I've gone off script. You don't think it's going to...
I don't know.
It's going to be the 3-litre SC that won the 1978 Monte Carlo rally with Jean-Pierre Nicolas driving. I didn't even drive it. I was in the passenger seat. Yeah. And there is some footage up. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it.
It's quite a drive.
Yeah. It's just... There's a couple of GoPros on there, and he was just amazing. And the sound of that car on the route of the Monte Carlo rally, brilliant. Won't forget that for a very, very long time. So I'm kind of actually, I know I've sidestepped that.
It's already dedicated to everything Porsche, so I don't think anyone's going to feel left out. I think you're okay on this one.
Fair enough. Yeah, go and check that out because it was really good. Next up, SUV of the year. Over to you. Can I choose mine, actually?
Yeah, go for it.
Mercedes E63S wagon. There you
go. Not an SUV. As we pointed out this year in our SUVs versus wagons feature, SUVs are very much picking up where wagons left off in terms of the ubiquitous family transportation vehicle.
I did do my best drift of the year, I think, potentially actually in that wagon. I do like drifting a big estate car. That was fun.
Wagons are great for drifting. They're great for ice driving. I spent a lot of time in the on the ice in the Volvo V90 cross country. I held the longest drift I've ever held on ice.
Still going on, I think, isn't it? So,
I made George put the entire shot of that drift in without cutting away, because I'm like, look how long I held that for. It's brilliant. And I only stopped because I ran out of bend and the course straightened out and I needed to get back on the straight. But I spent a lot of time in Octavias and Superbs and other Skoda wagons out in Finland earlier this year. And you can drift a wagon. The longer wheelbase is just...
I like the fact we're still talking about wagons on the SUV of the year, so there we go.
I think that we have to give props to our long-termer of the year that we had for the longest amount of time, which is the Discovery Sport, which... we were very grateful to have as a long-termer, but over time we just all fell in love more and more with its capability and its relatively entertaining drive and the bond that you form with the car that you basically sleep in for multiple nights over the course of a year.
Fair enough. Yep, I'll give you that. Next up, best T-shirt of the year. Now, can I just... I've got my nice Magnus Walker Outlaw one on. I actually ordered a specific T-shirt for this, and it hadn't arrived in time. So
Aww.
I know, yeah. So here is my Christmas T-shirt. It arrived a couple of days too late, but there we go. Seems appropriate for... Look at that. It's a particularly poor image. Porsche 997 Turbo. It was cheap. Hopefully that was a shot of
hopefully it will have arrived by the time this is
home
edited.
Me.
And
Yeah,
we can
exactly.
show it. That is a very good one.
But it's got to be a dabbing unicorn, isn't it?
That got the most amount of love. No one really seems to be interested in my Skeletor T-shirts. I have many, so I'll let you give it to the dabbing unicorn.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
He loves his T-shirts.
I do love a good T-shirt. Yeah, there we go. Best location.
Well, that is.
And it's driving road really, because we've done best shoot, which was kind of location, but this is best driving roads sort of location, I suppose, is what I'm going for here.
There's been many roads that we've driven separately, and haven't had the chance to share and experience. We did a little bit of the North Coast 500 together, which was great. But and I know it's on your list as well because I can see it from over here. There's a road that we drove at different times in different cars, and that's the Grossglockner.
Grossglockner. Easy for you to say.
Which I drove in a Bentley Continental GT on a slightly crowded time. It wasn't clear.
It generally is. That is the problem with that road. You do have to get up really, really early. It's a toll road.
Yeah.
But it's worth either staying late or getting up early, because then it is just fantastic, isn't it? Highest road in Austria.
Yeah, the benefit I had is that I drove it just after it opened.
Okay.
So it was like 12 feet of snow either side. You'd like driving through this white canyon, which would then open up and you would see the landscape around you, and it was spectacular. And you drove it in
the DBS, Aston Martin DBS. Got up really early one morning and drove down there. And yeah, fantastic. I have to say, I think probably though, it doesn't compete, I suppose, in terms of scenery, but going to the Ruta Targa Florio on Sicily with George for the Project 8, just to get to drive all those roads and the history in that. There's history on the Grossglockner as well, obviously, but not quite to the level that there is with the Targa Florio route. So for me, the roads themselves amazingly sort of broken and pitted and calloused. They're in a terrible state.
They haven't been updated since they were raced on.
But they were just fantastic. So that was a real highlight for me to go there. Which brings us on to probably the biggest sort of favorite new car that you've driven this year.
It's a tough one. I really enjoyed the new Continental GT. I think it's taken enough of a step forward in terms of design to refreshed itself, but it still added in enough touches to it to be a great new car. And it was a car that I already really loved. And so I'd have to lean towards the Conti.
Fair enough. Great
car.
For you? For me, I mean, the G3 manual didn't come out this year, so I'm not going to choose that, despite the fact I adore that car. So for me, it's going to be the Ariel Atom 4, which I was unsure about before I went to drive it because it's gone turbocharged. I wasn't sure how different it was going to be really to what's gone before, but I came away from that day in that just being reinvigorated about driving, really. It's so fast. You've got all the performance that you can get in any of the major league supercars, really, certainly up to the sort of speeds that you're ever likely to reach without going to the Autobahn. And just fantastic. Beautiful balance, really wears its sort of turbocharging on its sleeve, and it was great. I just loved it. So that's, I came away thinking, how can I afford the £40,000 to buy one? So
every time I've driven an Atom, I've immediately gone and checked my bank balance and figured out what it would take to own one, because they give you that kind of feeling when you drive it, almost universally.
It's a big buzz.
And we've a film on that one, and there's from earlier in the year, a great standalone feature on the 3.5R Ariel Atom as well. So a couple of good ones there. We still haven't driven the Nomad yet, so we need to get that on the list as well.
So we need to.
I haven't driven the Nomad yet, so
we'll do that next year. There you go.
We will do that next year.
We will do that.
So Ariel, very well done with the Atom 4. It's Henry's favorite car of the year, and the Conti GT. I think has already won quite a few accolades, so that I'm happy for the Atom to wear the crown on that from our side. It has been a really great year, and we've crammed a lot in, and we started the year with a great amount of people watching the channel, and we finished it with even more. And it's been phenomenal this year seeing how many of you have joined in. If you're new to the channel, and a special big thank you for joining in the family. And for those of you who've been with us for a long time and have seen us grow and develop, an even bigger thank you to say, that's just how we move forward, and bringing you the best possible entertainment we can makes us very happy. And if it makes you happy, well, then that's a huge bonus. And 2019 is going to be absolutely full of even more stuff. So thank you very much for making it all the way to the end of another FtLoC. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and have hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of these great new films that we'll do next year. Find us on Twitter at Carfection, on Instagram at Carfection Films, and on Facebook just search for Carfection. And remember, there's the Carfection for the Love of Cars podcast as well. But Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.
Happy Christmas.
We wish you... Stop singing.